Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Management Advisory Club meeting. Today, we have Sax LLC's Maria DeCaprio and Joe Piela here from Sax. So please give them your undivided attention, everyone on Zoom as well. And I will open the floor to both of you guys.
This is.
Yeah, I'm Hunter, by the way, and just introduce because I mean it's pretty informal, like it's just us here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm Hunter.
I'm Louis. And we have,
Louis.
I think, 8 people on.
Okay, great. I'm trying to figure out where,
Yeah, the camera's right there, so.
so Deborah should stop looking at the screen. then.
Yeah.
Is this good? Or-
Yeah.
or you can see
Yeah,
it?
you can see.
Actually, I want to sit down. Is that your stuff?
If you're easy now.
And you'll stand?
Okay.
Do you want to go to chair? Anyway, okay, so we are Marie DeCaprio and Joe Piela. We're actually Sax Wealth Advisors, and we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Sax LLC. And Sax LLC is a mid-sized accounting firm, and we're located in Parsippany, New Jersey. So as the advisory firm, we actually are an independent registered investment advisor. Which we'll get into like what that all means. So as part, the accounting firm basically deals with, they do auditing and tax work. And then our side, we really focus on the wealth management. And we can get into a little bit about what that is. Maybe, I don't know if people on the screen can talk about, but what is the, like, what are your degrees, or what are your undergraduate degrees?
I'm in the business school. I'm majoring in finance right now. I'm currently a sophomore.
Okay.
Me too. I'm majoring in finance and I'm minoring in data science.
Okay, do we have anybody who would be like an accounting major? Okay.
I'm entering with Sax actually next year.
You are,
Yes.
okay, on the LLP side, okay, great. So we actually work, I mean, this time of year, we actually work closely together, but normally we're very independent, so. So that's a little bit about Sax. Well, Sax LLP has actually been around for 65 years. And really just continues to grow. So it really is a great firm, I think, to work at in terms of if you really want to learn, if you want to be at a firm that's growing, a firm that gives you opportunity. I think that's really great. I think what we thought we would do today is talk a little bit about like our path. To how we got to where, like a little bit about us, how we got here, and then talk a little bit about the industry in general, like the different avenues you can go down if you want to be in like the wealth management industry, and then really just kind of what we do day to day, and then answer any questions. We really hear you.
Yeah, this is your time, so I mean, you guys can kind of direct it the way you want to. As Marie said, I mean, this Sax LLP works primarily with businesses. They do accounting and advisory for mostly like family-owned and closely held businesses. I know you guys said you had. I was talking to some of you guys here, and you said you had Witham and Wisnet come in, so they're kind of set up the same way. It's an accounting firm that also has a wealth management group attached to it as well. So we're set up in a similar way. We're an RIA firm. I personally, I went to undergraduate business school. I went to the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania. I graduated from there, and of course, what I wanted to do was go work on Wall Street and make a lot of money. So that was my first path to get to where I am now. When I worked on a trading desk, energy trading desk at Morgan Stanley for a couple of years. From there, I moved onto the floor of the stock exchange, and I clerked for a market maker down there. So I was there for another year or two, decided that the whole Wall Street thing really wasn't for me and what I wanted to do. Instead of making big companies more and more money and helping them improve their bottom line, I really wanted to help regular people make themselves better, improve their bottom line. So I left there. I started working in the insurance industry, property and casualty, for a couple of years. And then I decided I really was interested in finance and markets. So in 2006, I went and got my CFP designation. Actually took the course at FDU in TNA campus, they had a CFP course, so I took that course there, got my CFP, and then started looking into opportunities in the financial planning wealth management business. I started with a small independent broker dealer firm, which was attached to an insurance company. So I don't know if you guys have any familiarity with that, but so a lot of our business at that point went through their sales program was focused on selling products, selling life insurance, selling insurance products, selling investment products that had commission and fees associated with them. We talked about it, and you guys probably talked about it, right? As far as investments are concerned, I mean, we cover broad-based wealth management. It's not just investments, that's a small piece of what we do. But right, it's always about diversification and asset allocation, right? Those are the biggest drivers of returns. But then we were going and really all you had to do was get access to these assets to be able to get the returns that they provide people over time, right? Through history. But then we were going out and buying actively managed funds and trying to beat the market, which is really hard. I mean, Marie and I say this all the time. If we knew how to beat the market and outsmart the market, we would not be standing up in front of you.
We wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't be here, right?
It was that easy, we wouldn't be.
Right. If it was that easy, and if it were that easy for everyone, right? They wouldn't need people like us either, or people like if you guys are interested in wealth management and doing a career in that, wouldn't need you. So I did that for a few years, and then I started looking into other opportunities because the way that they were doing business was different than the philosophy that I had. And started, at first I just learned what they told me to do, and then I started thinking for myself. And when I started thinking for myself, I'm like, well, this way of doing things, this doesn't make sense. There's a disconnect. So I started looking at firms, other types of investment management firms, where I came across like the RIA model, the Registered Investment Advisor, right? And we're a fee-based, natural fee-only firm. So basically what that means is that we get paid for the advice that we provide our clients. We don't get paid for products that we sell to them. So it's really driven by, it's really advice driven, and that's what people pay us for. So I found Sax, I've been with Sax for 6 years, started as an associate wealth advisor, worked my way up to a wealth advisor, and then this past January, I became a partner with Maria and one other gentleman in our firm, so in the RA firm. So I'm a partner there. If you want to kind of
Yeah, let me,
give a little bit of background,
and then we can talk a little bit more about like the different models. So, I graduated from Rutgers with a degree in economics, and then from there, I started working at Prudential Insurance, not on the insurance side, but on the investment side, where I actually managed investments for, so a lot of these big insurance companies, they manage pension funds, they manage mutual funds. So I really started my career on the investment management side. I have an MBA in finance. I'm a chartered financial analyst, which is CFA. And then I'm also a certified financial planner. So I was in the corporate world for many years and managing investments on the institutional side. So institutional means like mutual funds, pension funds, insurance company. Those are really hedge funds. I mean, you're not working with like mom and pop, that live next door. It's the big institutions. And then from there, I left the corporate world, got my CFP, started my own business, did financial planning really exclusively to start with. And then over time added investment management, really because a lot of clients, just as we developed trust over the years, were like, can you just do this for me? I've been now, and then I reached a point where my business just it was too much for one person to handle. And so I had to make a decision, did I want to like build the infrastructure of the business, or would I just, should I just merge in with a company that already had that infrastructure set up? And that's what I ended up doing. So that's how I joined Sax. And that was 7 years ago. So I think, one of the things that's very common, at least when we started in financial planning, is that it seemed like people did other things before they ended up in financial planning and wealth management. And I think, though, what the profession has tried to do, it's a relatively new profession. It's probably only, 25, maybe 30 years since the CFP has been around. But I think what we've tried to do as a profession is really create a road or a glide path for people who, like, out of college, like, you don't have to necessarily go through all of these other meandering paths that we took to get into, a financial planning role and situation. So I think that's very different, so I think that's a positive thing for people interested in that today versus years ago. You really had to do something else. You had to be a broker, you had to be an insurance person, you had to be a whatever, even an accountant, like you were something else before you became a financial planner. And that's really not the case these days. Between the financial planning programs, certificate programs that are available, programs, undergraduate programs, it really is, becoming its own profession. So I think that that is such a fantastic thing because the need is definitely there. So I don't, do we want to, maybe we should talk a little bit about like what we actually, like we're saying asset allocation, like we're throwing all this jargon at, like maybe we could talk more specifically about like what we do, like what are we doing with people? We laugh because every day is a new day.
Yes, it's different, which is the really exciting part about and nice part about what we do. I mean, it's just from day to day, it's something different, right? We're not, I said, as Marie said, there's a lot of different avenues that you can get into the wealth management world or into the investment world, whether you go into, like a big firm, like a broker dealer firm, like one of the wirehouses like Morgan Stanley or Merrill Lynch or something to that effect, or through one of the insurance companies. But all those lines seem to start to get blurred. I mean, everyone calls themselves now a financial planner, whether they're doing just, managing investment portfolios or they're really doing wealth planning. Like what we feel, and I feel is what we do. And we're not just talking to clients about investments. So, I mean, to that point, we sit down and have conversations with clients that covers every aspect of their financial life from their, not just, I mean, the investments are just a small piece of that. We talk about, insurance protection, we talk about retirement, we talk about education planning for the children. We integrate income tax planning into that as well, because all that has an impact on, the growth of your money, right? You have to consider those things as well. So I mean, we're covering every aspect of the life, and we build relationships. But it's not just about when we say talk with people, at least when I talk, I know Marie, because we work together with clients. Like most of the time, when we're sitting down with people, we're talking about their lives and their families and what's going on with them, not necessarily, of course we talk about the financial stuff, but it's really a relationship driven business for us.
And I think, it's a nice profession if you're interested in, like, if you're very interested in just doing like analytics all day, or if you're very interested in being like even auditing, like very one focused, this is probably not the right career path, because there are days and even moments within the day where like I could be a marriage counselor, I could be like a therapist, then I switch to like my analytical side of like looking at, crunching numbers, like what is the right asset allocation, what are the models that we use for investments. It's so many of those things. It's like it's really spans more than one discipline. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons I think that I have always been drawn to this profession, is because I'm able to use, I think most of us are not just one facet, single faceted. We do have different sides of us and different parts of us that we want to be able to express. And I think this really allows you to do that. Whereas, for example, when I was an investment manager, like that was my job all day long. That's all I did. I steered screens all day long, analyzed markets, talked to people all day long about the market is up, 2 cents, 9 cents. It was really so micro managed, and again, that was my job. That's what I needed to do, because I needed to be an expert I was a bond trader, so I needed to be an expert in that area. That's all I did. But, as I got older and kind of, just moved along in my career, it was like, I don't know if I can do this for the next like 30 years. Like it's just was a lot after 10 years. So I think that's what's really nice about it. And I always tell people too, like when we're interviewing people, for example, we say, if you're one of those people who, because I know I am, and I get very frustrated, like you like to come into work and like check the box, check, got it done, got it done. you have to be really flexible in this kind of job and probably in most jobs, because I'll have a list of things like Joe and I will talk. We have this conversation at least once a week, like, how are you organizing yourself now? You just say, like, what are you doing to organize, like, keep track of things? Because you have a list of like, all right, these are all the things I need to do, and then on any given day, you're putting out like 5 fires, like whose account was being attempted to be hacked, who has like some obscure question about like their December statement, it's now March. It could be every little thing that we have to, who's calling was a question about the markets or the conflict in the Ukraine. You have to be able to pivot in whatever you're doing and like deal with whatever the issue is that's coming up at that moment. And so I think that, it's kind of hard to live in that world, especially when, especially as an undergrad or even before then through high school, like your day is very scheduled, right? Like you're gonna go here, you're gonna go there, you have this class, you have that thing. Here, like we can start with the schedule and then things just go off the rails. And then you have to figure out, okay, how do I get back on track? So again, some people, it's not that you have to, not that we necessarily like that, but I think you have to sort of be comfortable in that arena because it's not going to be the same thing every day. When you're dealing with people, you're dealing with a range of issues. I mean, literally we can have, I can have 5 conversations in a day. One will be about, I want to buy a new house. What kind of mortgage, should I get a mortgage or not, versus should I increase my asset allocation to emerging markets right now? I mean, it can be from one degree to the other. So again, positive, and then negative is like, I don't want to talk about investments today. I don't have that choice, right? If somebody has that question or I have to deal with it and it's part of the day. So I think people who do well in this industry, I think, are able to pivot and really sort of like doing these different things, and especially having the personal, the personal side to it, the analytical and the personal.
And I think that mimics a lot of our relationships and planning that we do with clients as well, right? Because you set plans for people, right? You put a plan in place, you put all these parameters, and this is the list of things we need to do and the action items, and then life happens, right? And you need to make adjustments and do different things, or maybe just do it something a little bit differently than you had planned to do it. So I think it's very similar when we're working with clients as well, that you need to set a plan, right? You need to set a course, but there's always going to be detours. And at least having a plan and knowing the direction you want to go to, you can kind of get yourself back there. But there's all this noise and all these things that happen in between that you're not prepared for.
Right. And you have to be able to pivot.
And
I mean, usually when we present a plan, we're like, okay, this is where we are today, but as things are changing in your life and in the environment around you, we may need to make adjustments, and that's okay. That's part of the plan, and that's life. But I think, there is such, again, as Joe said earlier, there's so many people in so many places that call themselves financial planning firms, financial planners. Like there's no, anybody can call themselves a financial planner. Like, literally anyone. You can just hang a shingle, you're a financial. You can't unless you have achieved the education requirements and passed the tests and the experience requirements, use the certified financial planning designation. That is very specific. But anybody can call themselves a financial planner. Anybody can say that they do financial planning. But really, what financial planning is it covers very specific topics around personal finance. So it's cash flow analysis, it's investment analysis, income tax analysis, estate planning analysis, and I don't know what the last one is. I know there's retirement planning. Retirement. So it's very specific, and the CFP board is very specific about how we conduct ourselves as CFPs, and wanting to make sure that the people that we engage with are getting all the parts of that financial plan. And then the other thing that's very different about what we do and how we work versus like, if you go to like a large insurance company, I mean, you can literally go, you can call 5 different places and you'll get a financial plan. some other places version of a financial plan is some group of people, data entry, people maybe not even in this country are entering all the data into a program, because there's many programs that are used that, spit out a report it's actually, there's a very funny, commercial now, isn't there, about Schwab? It's Schwab selling financial plans, and they're like, the Mr. Broker comes in and he goes, turn to page 158 of your financial plan, right? So the knock there is, anybody can do a financial plan and jump out this huge report that really is not necessarily customized for you, doesn't really give you the information. More paper does not necessarily equate to better information for the client. So what we do is we're really building the plan. Ourselves, our team is small. We have 1.6 billion in assets under management, and we're about 15 or 16 people. I don't know. I lose people.
Yeah, we're right around there between wealth advisors, assisting wealth advisors and our operations.
So we're not a ginormous organization in terms of people. We're actually very close. We work together really nicely. It's a nice team, but we're building the plan ourselves. And then when we're meeting with clients, we're making adjustments as we talk to them. And then, as I always like to say, financial planning, really when you present the financial plan, that's just the beginning of the relationship. Because the beauty and the magic of the financial planning process is that you are going back to the plan over time and looking to see, okay, we thought we were going to be here. Where are we actually? So it's like gives you these goalposts to say, hey, we thought we were going to be here. How are we vis-a-vis our own goals that we've established for ourselves? And so that's where the magic comes in. And I think, there's so many studies that are like people who work with financial planners end up with, I don't know, X amount of more wealth over time. And again, I think it's kind of like working with a trainer at the gym, like a personal trainer, right? Somebody who's really going to focus on you, what your body needs, what your exercise regimen should be. It's very personalized. It's going to, and most importantly, keep you accountable to what you're saying your goals are. I think a lot of times too is also our job to be realistic, help people be realistic. Like if we have somebody who's 30 years old and they come in and they're like, I want to retire by 35 with $10 million, which of course we all do. I'd like to do that too. Although I'm past 35. That's what it's sale. I think it's our job too to be realistic with people and say, look, maybe, but you'd have to take a huge amount of risk, right? Like to get to that place. So understanding what that means. So I think that's the big thing. Like when you're out there, interviewing and looking for internships and jobs is, the types of places you're going to be interviewing at, like really understanding, okay, what is the process that, what is your process for financial planning? And really understanding that there are places where, look, if you go on Glassdoor, Indeed, what's that other one? Handshake. There's tons of jobs out there, right? And they all say financial planning this, financial planning that. Like, how do you know, right? So, generally speaking, like an insurance company, I was telling Joe this story earlier today. One of my friend's daughters, got an internship at a very large insurance company. I'm not insurance companies for anybody whose parents work there or anything, but she literally showed up on day one and they were like, she went through her mom's contacts, sold all of those people insurance. Then she was calling me. She's like, how do I get more sales? They push you to get sales. That is their job. That's what they want you for, is to just get you. So some people are really good at sales. Some people really like that. Some people thrive on that environment. They love the idea of I'm going to eat what I kill, right? I can go out, just, hit the ball out of the park, get less, and that's great. Then maybe those places like an insurance company or a brokerage firm is going to be better for you because they are much more sales oriented.
Yeah, win and then move on to the
move on to the next thing. We, a place like ours, we don't sell. We don't even have any, we don't have a series 7. We don't have any of the series. We don't need any of the series because we're not selling products. We are offering advice. We buy investments on behalf of our clients, but there's nobody's standing over us saying okay, this is the fund du jour, or this is the new thing we have that we're trying to push out to clients. It's not like that at all. It's very much process-driven, client-driven. So again, you know, understanding, are you going to, when you get into this job, like, have them, you know, they're gonna give you a list of people that you're just gonna need to start cold calling? Nothing wrong with that, but if you're not comfortable with that, that's not the job for you.
That's exactly where I started my first.
Yeah, right? It's like,
I go, here's a book,
there
put
you
it
go.
down, and
It used to be the phone book.
everybody that you know,
We don't even have
and their
phone books.
contact information, and just start going through.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that that's the biggest thing, and really understanding, you know, so we are what's called a registered investment advisor, RIA. And so we are completely independent and we are regulated by the SEC. Okay, so places like Morgan Stanley, UBS, Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan, probably, Chase, yeah. They are considered wirehouses, broker dealers. They're actually regulated by another organization called FINRA, which is actually like a self-regulating organization, not to get into the compliance of this, but the SEC regulates us and pretty much mandates that we act as a fiduciary. And that is a legal term for anybody who's taken any legal classes. It's a legal term to mean that we are held to the highest standard there is, and that is we have to act on our client's best interests. So there can be no conflicts of interest. So what's a conflict of interest? A conflict of interest is like, I put an investment in one of my clients' portfolios, then that investment company is paying me, right? Because how do we know, is it better for the client or is it better for me? Right, the lines get blurred. So that's why we have to act as fiduciaries. So we cannot get any kind of commissions or any sale, anything like that on any products, or even if we like, so as Joe said, we will counsel people on insurance. We're not licensed to sell insurance, because again, can't sell. But if we refer them to, we'll have relationships with insurance professionals that we trust, that we know are going to do the right thing by our clients. And we're usually also very involved in the process all along the way, so we can advise our clients. If we refer business to other people, we do not get any kind of referral fee. So this way our clients know, and what clients really want, quite honestly, in this day and age, is unbiased, objective advice, right? Like they don't want to feel like somebody's trying to sell them something. Like even you, right? Do you want to, like, how does it feel when somebody's trying to like get you to do something? You're like, I don't know about this. So we're actually held to that standard. So that's what the definition of RIA is. Registered investment advisor is completely, we have to act as fiduciaries. We can't sell products. And there's a lot of compliance that we have to constantly keep up with, because we are subject to SEC review and examination. And if they find things that are not in accordance with what we say we're doing, we could be heavily fined.
Which
We've never been,
been.
knock on wood. Hoping we never do. I mean, the regulations, as you can only imagine, are extraordinary. I mean, there's so many of them. You constantly worry, like, oh my gosh, you know, without even knowing sometimes you're doing something wrong. Whereas the broker dealer world, so Morgan Stanley's, UBS's, all those people, they only have a suitability standard. So the only threshold they need to that they need to meet is this investment suitable for the client? And that's just a lower standard. And so that's why, and they don't actually have to disclose if they're putting investments into client accounts, they don't have to disclose even that they got paid something commission from the provider of that investment. So just a very different way of, you know, look, there's plenty of brokers out there that are good brokers giving advice. In fact, largely the investment advisory business is still, most of the assets are still with the large brokerage firms. Okay, they just are. I mean, people associate investments with the Merrill Lynch's, the Raymond James, the other one, you know, those kinds of places. So they still hold a majority of the, you know, trillions of dollars that are out there. But slowly but surely, I think the RIA business is really, you know, picking up and growing. the business of advice.
Yeah, no, I mean, so having like full disclosure and transparency, that's what we're all about. Like our clients know exactly what they're paying us, what they're paying us for. And we're constantly, we provide them with that information on a regular basis and fully disclose all that information to them, which is important to us because our relationships and our business is built on trust. People trust us. I mean, if people are going to give you, let you look into their lives and see everything about them and their families and their financial situation, they need to trust that you're going to do the right thing for them. And it's not just, okay, can you make me a lot of money, but are you going to take care of me? Are you going to do the right thing for me? And that's what we kind of hang our hat on as a firm. We're also a NAFA firm. NAFA is fee only, so National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, which is just another layer of a fiduciary standard, right? As that, we cannot collect any commissions or fees for any products that we sell. That's kind of the self-regulated body of NAFA. So if you do that, you're in violation. You lose your NAFA card. So we legally as an RIA, we're a fiduciary. By choice as a NAFA firm, which we decided to be, we're fiduciaries. As CFPs, we're held as fiduciaries as well. So everything that we do is always we put out there is that what we're doing is in the best interest of the clients, always, everything, and all the decisions and all the advice that we give to them, and that's what they pay us for.
So do you want us to answer some questions now? I mean, I could go all the I could talk a lot. So but I definitely have some other ideas, but I want to make sure we get to questions if people have questions or I don't know.
I was going to ask, like, you were talking about like the certified financial advisor, like that actual certification, like, is that like 100% necessary? Like, do you and all your colleagues have that certification?
So there's two. So I'm two things. I'm a Chartered Financial Analyst, which is CFA.
That's CFA, yeah.
Mm-hmm. CFA, I actually got years ago when I was an investment manager. So that is really more towards if you want to be a portfolio manager, if you want to manage mutual funds or ETFs, like you want to manage money and do what I did like all day long and stare at screens, right. You really need to have the CFA.
More
so,
like security analysis.
It's much more security
technical.
Very technical, very technical. In fact, there's three parts to it. The first part one, I think they give it like twice a year now, and the pass rate is less than 30%. Because it's more global, because there's more people actually outside of the US trying to pass that test. But it's really a shoot, like if you want to work at a hedge fund, you want to work, like when I was at Prudential in the investment management, you basically had to have a CFA if you wanted to manage money like as a professional. So that is not, if you want to go into personal finance, you do not have to have the CFA. You more than likely though should get the CFP, which is the Certified Financial Planner, which that is what is really covers like the investing, insurance, retirement planning, like more personal finance. So CFA is definitely, it's much more analytical. It's much more, I mean, I've known of people who are like in the legal profession, like that CFA, I don't know why you do that, but it's very heavily analytical. And at the time that I did it, and I think it still is now, it's very heavily like financial statement analysis. So that's what it was, that was what it came out of. It was like, if you want to look at companies, if you want to be a financial analyst, like that's the test that you do.
As a planner now, I mean, it's almost standard that you have CFP designation.
Yes.
I mean, back when I got it, you got it. You had to explain to people what a CFP designation was. And now, for the most part, people are like, when they go online, they're like, what questions do I ask an investment advisor or a financial planner? And one of the first things is like, oh, what are your designation? Are you CFP? And I mean, and there are tons of other different designations. There's a Chartered Financial Consultant, CHFC. I mean, then you can get into specialties.
Yeah.
With retirement.
But I think the broadest for personal finance is CFP. So CFP is you need to have the complete the education requirement, which is either you can do it via an undergrad or certificate program, like I did mine online,
I did last
a
year.
million years ago, whenever it was, then you sit for the test, which they give 3 times a year, 3 times a year. And then you have to, for both of these, there's an experience requirement. So I think it's 3 years for the CFP. So, and that's how you get the CFP. CFA is similar. You take level 1, you pass that, you go to level 2. They offer level 1 twice a year, maybe even 3 times a year. It's all multiple choice now. It wasn't when I took it. Which when the dinosaurs were on the earth. And then you have
Using
to
stone tablets.
pass level, you have to pass level 2. And then you have to pass each, and I think 2 and 3 are separated by a year still. And I think still level 3, it was all like essay. And I believe it still is. We really like, it's like, okay, here's your, and you have to write out all your analysis. So, and there too, though, you need the education requirement. So the education requirement is going to be specifically to like working in the investment field as an investment manager, an assistant, whatever, like summer trader, like that kind
Yeah,
of
the
thing.
CFP is more like client facing roles, so if you have some
Yeah.
kind of, if you're working with clients, then kind of you take care of that experience.
Right.
Requirement.
Yeah. So those are, did that answer your question?
Yeah, so, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
What turned you away from your initial like career plan? Like you said, you were at Merrill Lynch, right?
I worked at Morgan Stanley, so yeah,
Yeah.
I worked on their energy trading desk. So coming out of college, you know, I went to the work school. I was a finance major, and pretty much anybody, when you graduated from there, you either went into investment banking, which was give up your life
Yeah.
for a couple of years, or you went to like the sales and trading role. And so I was like, well, I'm not doing the investment banking thing, and working, you know, 90, 150 hours a week. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sales and trading. So that was kind of the path that I went to, or at least that's what I thought I wanted to do. It was really just more of a personality thing where I just, you know, I saw the people that were successful, and for at least the people I was working with, I'd say it's everyone in the industry, but I saw the people who were successful and the lifestyle they lived, and the things that were important to them, the values that they had, and it just wasn't consistent with my value system. So I couldn't figure out why I wasn't, because I was making really good money and was successful, but I was trying to figure out why I wasn't happy. And it started just coming back to that. Like the people I was associated with were just not the type of people that, you know, I felt comfortable with. So I really
Right out of college.
What's that?
That was right out of college.
Right out of college, I worked for Morgan Stanley. I was there for like a year and a half, 2 years. And so at first I started getting that itch, like, okay, something's not right here. So then I went to Goldman, Spear Leads, and worked for a market maker. I went and worked down on the Florida exchange for like another year or so, and still nothing changed. So at that point I said, okay, I'm gonna change my career path. I really had nothing set up. I mean, I was 23, 24 years old. I had no responsibility. So I didn't really have any plans. I started working. I had a friend that worked, his family, his dad had owned an insurance agency for a long time. So I went to work for him for a while. I was like, well, so you figure out what you want to do, I need help. Then I got licensed, and then I started selling like insurance. But then I kept going back to, like I said before, like, you know, the financial side, like that kind of the markets and planning and the financial side of things really, I was just selling product, you know, when I was insurance products. And so that's where I kind of made the shift over to the planning side. And actually the gentleman that started this, my friend's dad, he kind of mentored. And we talked, like, oh, you got your Wharton degree, and you're here's this finance. He's like, you should look into the CFP thing. So that's why I started looking into that, and that kind of led to moving more away from like the property and casualty into more like health insurance and benefits, or retirement planning, and then into more broad-based planning. And like I said, I started in more of like an insurance independent, like broker dealer that focused more on insurance, like annuity stuff. So that was kind of how. So it was just really who I was, and just not being the right fit for me. Fortunately, I found out that quickly, because Otherwise,
Yeah, otherwise just.
I work out.
Yeah, I mean, I think just finding, especially when you first, like, right out of college, it's just hard to figure out, like,
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna
I mean,
do.
it took a while, yeah, it took a while to kind of like settle in to figure out what, and what's more important to you. And, is it just about, all right, and a lot of people, I think, who end up working on Wall Street, like, will go, it's like investment banking, that kind of, will go and say, I'm just gonna earn as much money as possible for a few years, and then, like, the plan is, like, leave, because it's very hard to sustain that your whole career.
Yeah, it's just super stressful.
It's just so stressful.
It's, and I find, I have a lot of friends that still
Yeah.
work on Wall Street or work in banks, and a lot, what they say to me a lot of the time is, these people have been really successful at gone on to be like heads of, trading, heads of big banks. They have no time, and they're now my age, 45, and like all of their time is spent working, because they had to give something up. There's a trade-off in everything you do. I mean, there's trade-offs in investing, right? Whether you buy a stock or a bond, like there's always a trade-off, and there's a trade-off in life. And I mean, I'm not saying that's for some people. Some people love that. They love their work. They love to work. That's what drives them. That's who they are. That's what defines them. For me, it was just different. Like for me, family, friends, experiences, like having time. That's the biggest thing, time. So you trade those things off, and you figure out what makes the most sense for you personally. And that's kind of where I was at. And what I find in my experience with I just want time.
I mean, for me, when I was in the investment side, I mean, I wasn't on I was what's called the buy side. So the buy side is like, again, the pension funds, the mutual funds, like the people who have the assets that they're investing. The sell side is like Wall Street, like coming up with products, selling, the
calling on you to be like, hey, I got all this stuff, like you buy this stuff.
So I think the sell side, you can definitely make more money, but I think there's a huge amount of pressure because it's always the next,
it's very sales.
Deal.
It's very sales.
The buy side, less pressure, like, well, I wasn't working until like midnight. I mean, when the markets were open, I was working. I mean, I worked hard because I was doing my MBA, CFA, whatever. Right. But like, it wasn't that, but what I found, what got me sort of burnt out was like literally every day I would have people, I mean, I managed bonds. Like people were like, and this was in the day when in the Wall Street Journal, they had like a whole section of just like, they would list, there's no online, there was nothing online. There was no online, there was no line.
I mean, I was also the same when so I mean,
I mean, you look at the newspaper and see like the fund that you manage, because mine were public mutual funds, and the price. And every day I would have people say to me like, how'd you do yesterday? How'd you do yesterday? And I'm like, I think okay. Like it was just that constant, it was never, you never sat back and been like, no, it was always like the next. It was that constant. So again, it was fine when I was in my 20s, but like once I got to around 30, then I had a family. Like I was just like, I can't. Like it's just too stressful. Yeah, it's just hard. But again, some people thrive on that. It's all your personalities. Not that it's bad. And listen, a plan could be, I'm going to do this for 5 years. And then decide like what's next, right? Like we're planners, so trying to plan for the next 40 years of your life is silly because it's just you're going to change the things that you want to do, your experiences, your like people you associate with, all that will change, and you'll have to pivot and adapt with that. And I think as long as you're okay with that, like my son's 22, he just graduated college. I go through the same thing with him. He's like, he wants to have his whole life planned out because he's just one of those anxious people. And I'm like, you're going to make yourself crazy because it's impossible to do. Like, go like 3 to 5 years at a time. That's good. Yeah, if you can get that far, like, don't beat yourself up. And I think too, these days, which again is great, I think, and very different than probably how we grew up, is like, if you like change jobs every 2 or 3 years, you really look like there's something wrong with this person. It's not like that anymore. Like you can really, we see resumes all the time. Like we never say, oh, they were here or they were there, or they were like here for 2 years or there. We never think that that's a problem. That's more the norm. So I think that relieves you of that pressure, like, oh my God, I gotta make the right decision because I need to stay there for 7 years before I can go.
Or 50. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you like our grandparents and our.
yeah, they worked at one,
It's like
my
you
mom
work
worked
for
at
one
one
company
company,
for-
his entire 35 years, same company. Doesn't happen anymore, does
And
it?
they,
Didn't happen
you
with
had
us.
a pension and they took care of you.
Yeah.
It's really not.
So I think that part is good too, because you don't have that same pressure that the generations before you did. You really can kind of experiment and figure out like, you know, this is, and then I would say too, give it a chance. Like you want to give a job a chance, even if you get there and you're like, day one, I hate it. You might like it after a while. Like try to find the good things, because there usually are good things in a job. And then reassess and say, okay, if the bad things outweigh the good, then all right, I need to figure out something else. So
Yeah, find good people to work
I think that's key.
with. Like we,
The best job is when you're working with people that you respect and that you like.
I mean, I spend more time with you than I do with my family, so.
It's just
you
too
know.
much. So no, I mean, that would be one piece of advice, right? Is to
Yeah.
work with people that you respect and that you like, because that makes everything so much better.
Yeah, and a company that's, you know, that has a value system that's consistent with yours.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're gonna keep finding that
Yeah.
doesn't work.
So,
Unless it's just about making money, you know?
and that's fine too.
That is fine. It is
Do we have anybody, online?
Yeah, we have-
What, around Zoom or?
we're
Okay.
on YouTube there. So,
So does anybody on Zoom have any questions?
we're on Zoom.
Is there a chat
No one?
function?
Really? No one?
No one?
Online. Anyone here? Maybe last question.
No, yeah, I was like kind of interested in like how like you like both kind of started, like, and how it's like changed a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's like important to like know that like, yeah, you're not always like stuck in like one place nowadays, like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really key.
And when you know, like from my experience, like I started in what I thought was gonna be a career. And when I started with them, you know, I thought I would stay with them. And I started my career in financial planning, and you know, as you start to develop your skills and get experience and you start to develop your own ideas about things, then you can then kind of feel your way to find a place that works, you know, the right place that works.
I mean,
for
so do you guys have like you're gonna be interning at Sax. What about you two? Are you?
I'm a freshman, but
Okay.
I'm thinking I'm gonna get an internship this summer
Yeah.
with my dad's friend who works at Ameriprise.
There you go.
So very
Okay.
similar to what you guys do. It's not
Yeah.
insurance or anything. It's just,
Yeah.
he's a CFP, so
Mhm.
I'll work under him. That's
Good. I think that's, yeah.
I was gonna say it's probably good to get to do that. Like,
Yeah,
work at an
well,
enterprise,
possible,
work
yeah.
at a Morgan Stanley, work
Yeah.
at, if you're interested in a
If you
career in financial
can
planning.
work at different places, because you'll get a sense of like
Yeah.
how people work. Yeah. And what about, I forgot.
Oh, not Hunter, I don't have it, like, I don't really have anything lined up right now. I'm kind of seeing if I could apply for like a couple internships during the
Yeah.
summer.
What
Yeah, that's pretty much
grade are
it. I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore.
I just transferred here this year. I was at Rutgers, like Newark,
Okay.
my freshman year, and now I'm at FDU, so.
Still finance though?
Yeah, I'm on finance, yeah. We're both on the soccer team, actually, me and Louis.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Because
yeah.
we were just talking about student athletes, and you guys a lot of credit. Yeah.
That was a football player. I played football in college, so.
Yeah,
what college? Was,
University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
oh, yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, that's really good. It's gonna give you very good time management skills for when you get into the real world, right? Because you're constantly juggling like
Yeah.
practice and schoolwork.
You guys have like all season workouts as well?
Yeah, we're 3 times a week now.
Yeah.
But I guess for like internships, like the best way to kind of go, like, is just keep like applying, like kind of just like keep going at it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the school offers any kind of assistance with internships.
Yeah, they do.
And you know what's available out there. But, and if anybody's interested in interning at Sax Wealth Advisory,
Mhm.
we're actually working on putting the program together because we've never had one on the advisory side, on the wealth advisory side. We've had on the accounting side for eons.
Yeah,
So
we
we're
have
working on
accounting.
trying to pull something together because we think that that would be great. So if anybody's interested, just maybe, I don't have things to give out.
Are you guys all live locally too?
Yeah, I
for
do.
the most
I
part.
live in Montville actually, if I participate.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine. We also
roll
have,
down the hill.
we have an office in Hennessy as well. Which we haven't returned yet, but I think that's one.
He's a tax, he's
On the tax
taxed.
side.
Yeah.
We do a lot of, I mean, we have, even within the wealth management group, we have a couple CPAs as
Yeah.
well, so we have
The personal income tax side is actually a pretty big topic for people. Because when you think about it, even if you're investing money for people, what matters is on an after tax basis, what they're able to keep, right? If you're generating, like, if you're doing trees and doing all kinds of things that's gonna generate a huge tax liability for people, then their return, their after tax return goes down. So we do a lot of that, and even,
And for people that are retiring, right, and they have to take distributions from 401ks or IRAs, like that's all taxable. So you have to do tax planning to figure that stuff out. Then all that stuff impacts your taxation of your social security or your Medicare or other things. So when you get to the retirement too, it continues. So for a lot of people now, I mean, that's important with the tax side of things because we try to help clients be tax efficient, not just like saving most taxes right now, but be tax efficient over your lifetime. So it's also not only what kind of investments you have, but where your investments are located.
we're trying to pull in like all the pieces and try to figure out how they all work together,
Yeah.
right? So like, you go to your CPA is just focusing on tax stuff. You go to your attorney, the attorney's just focusing on that. Like, we're the people, we're like the quarterback, we're trying to pull it all together and be like, okay, well, if you do this here, that's gonna affect that, and that's not a good outcome. So how do we reconcile those two?
What you do with your investments, back your tax situation, back your
Back to
estate
your
plan.
estate plan.
Yeah, so
So
it's
I think
all,
that's what's cool about what we do too, is it's always kind of, it looks like a puzzle, right? You're trying to figure out like how to, and the answer is different for everybody. I think that was the other thing that I was gonna say, like, you know, places like Vanguard, which is the second largest, obviously everybody's heard of them, you know, the asset manager in the world. They actually now offer, you know, financial planning. But what they're doing and what we're doing is couldn't be more like night and day. So they're very cookie cutter. You're gonna go in, you're gonna be a number. Yes, you're gonna be assigned a CFP, somebody who like just literally like one of you actually, which, you know, you're lovely, right? But you don't have
No, yeah,
like 30 years experience.
yeah, because-
So like putting numbers in a program, your portfolio looks just like everybody else's. Yeah, they charge a very low fee, but you're getting nothing that's customized, right? So that's very different than what we're doing. for people. Like, yeah, that's financial planning too. And they're actually, Vanguard is the #1 hiring company of CFPs. Like, they'll just, so if you want to live in, I think they're in Arizona, I think some maybe in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's a way to go too, but it's very cookie cutter. You know, you can have your investments managed by Betterment, right? Betterment is a robo-advisor. You go, you pay them a low fee, they'll manage your account, but then you're not gonna get the same, and that probably is a good solution, especially if you're starting out, like you're just building your investments, like, okay, at least it's something, right? But once you get to a certain point and you have, you know, you have a lot more, the decisions get more, challenging, right? So you really want someone who's going to give you that customized approach. So that's really, and I think that's why like our size, and there's other firms that are $10 billion, $15 billion, $20 billion, I mean, the billions just keep growing and growing, but then you start to get more of that corporate kind of like, all right, you gotta fit into this box, or we can't even take you as a client, you know?
Yeah.
And I think by us providing that customization is really, really valuable to clients. So, yeah, so if anybody's interested, I mean, we're hoping to pull something together. So just email us and let us know if you're interested. And then we'll reach out to you when, you know, the time comes and we're ready to roll something out. But there's also a lot of firms in New Jersey that are registered investment advisors. There's a lot of NAPFA, so you want, if you go under napfa.org, there's firms there. So like, There's a lot out there if you wanna, listen, we're not in the middle of the country somewhere where there's like, there's a lot in this area.
Yeah, Whistler's right across.
Yeah, there you go.
Literally.
So, I mean, there's really no shortage of
They
places.
just started. They just
Yeah,
started
Yeah,
their investment management side of things, so.
we've actually been very, very successful at Stacks because they really understand how to, like, on the accounting side, like how to pull in the skills that we have in terms of talking to clients about like their big picture, moving beyond just talking about their tax return or their audit or their whatever.
And we have a robust
Yeah.
retirement plans service as well, so
Yeah.
we manage employee like retirement plans, 401ks, 403s, profit sharing plans, cash balance plans, so that's also a growing part of our business as well, so we have a lot of experience there, and there's a lot of opportunity there as well, because the accounting firm works with a lot of businesses, so they need advice, they need good advice, they need to try to provide employee benefits to attract and retain good talent for their businesses. So that's been a growing side of our business, the private wealth management, mostly what we do, and then the retirement planning side as well. So I know they probably need an intern too. We should talk to them.
Yeah, that could
Because
be.
they,
Uh-huh. So we're we are growing. We just continue to grow. We're not like some sleepy little, like, oh, we're just trying to make it to retirement. No, like,
Yeah.
we're continuing to grow.
Yeah, and I think to that point, the idea and the way the firm is set up is that it's to be perpetual. So that young people get an opportunity to grow and develop and to move on. So there's a lot of opportunity as long as you're willing to take it and you want to take it on, there's opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So, and that comes down from the top, from the management of the firm as far as like, we want people to continue to grow and keep moving the firm forward, and continue growing a lot of good things.
So we'll definitely hang around if everybody wants to present other questions or.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Come on, okay, come on, there you go.
So hopefully that was helpful. And, certainly you can share our emails if people want to reach out, specifically or individually to us. We're happy to answer questions. and-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Advisor, quickly stay behind for some announcements. Yeah, thank you guys so much.